We don't see the world as it is. I recently had an experience that reminded me of a timeless spiritual teaching. On a recent visit to the grocery store, I had on my grocery list to get some cornstarch. Now, I'm so familiar with this grocery store that I know exactly where the cornstarch is located. It's with the baking needs. So I went to the aisle and section in question and began looking on the shelves for the cornstarch. My first quick search found no cornstarch. I looked again, casting my eyes further afoot to neighboring shelves, left and right, and up and down. Still no cornstarch. That's odd, I thought. I know this is where the cornstarch always is, normally. I looked more, this time walking up and down the aisle a little bit, but I still could not find the cornstarch. I could see the container of cornstarch in my mind's eye, remembering the jar of cornstarch I had brought home many times before, but I couldn't see any cornstarch on the shelf. I noticed a store clerk working at the end of the aisle. I walked down to greet him and asked, "Do you have any cornstarch in stock?" "Yes," he said, "it's just over there," gesturing in the general direction where I had already been looking. I walked back down to the area I was originally looking in and couldn't see any cornstarch. The store clerk kept calling out, "It's there, right there," still gesturing in the exact area I was standing in. "It's on the top shelf," yelled the clerk, now seemingly getting a little annoyed with me. I looked up towards the top shelf and still could not see the cornstarch. I started walking towards the store clerk and said, "I'm sorry, I don't see any cornstarch." The store clerk stopped what he was doing and walked down with me to where I had been standing. To my somewhat embarrassment, the store clerk reached out to gently move or remove the box of cornstarch off the shelf, smiled, and handed it to me. I stood there with a dumbfounded look on my face. I looked back at the shelf, and there indeed were the boxes of cornstarch, exactly where I had been looking all this time. But why hadn't I seen the box? The reason I didn't see the box of cornstarch was because I was looking for a round plastic jar of cornstarch. That's the format it had come in the previous dozen times I had bought cornstarch from that store. But the format had changed from a round plastic jar to a square box. I eventually laughed at my folly and proceeded to finish my grocery shopping, but as I continued about my grocery store outing, I was reminded of a timeless spiritual teaching. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we want it to be. I'd been looking directly at the box of cornstarch, but I didn't see it. I didn't see it because I was expecting, that is wanting, the cornstarch to be in a round plastic container. I was blind to the new format packaging, even though the packaging clearly had cornstarch written on the front of it. The experience got me thinking, how many other times in my life have I not seen something because I have a preconceived thought or image of what it should look like instead of what it actually looks like? No doubt I have done it many times, but hopefully I'll do it less now that I've had some awareness practice.